We are talking everything but the Blue Jackets today as we talk about some postseason stuff. We've got monsters, we've got Denton Mateychuk, we've got Gus Nyquist. We have got it all on today's episode of Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. I also want to let you know that you can find this on every podcasting app of choice. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on SiriusXM. And I also have to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I have a competitive side and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. So we got a bunch of... it's kind of a grab baggy sort of episode. I thought I would check in with how some ex-Blue Jackets are doing in the postseason. Some of them are doing pretty good. Some of them are doing less than good. We have some minor discourse happening about one of them. The Monsters lost their playoff opener to the Belleville Senators on a controversial, shall we say, goal call. I'll get into that in the second segment, and then we'll check in with the CHL playoffs. And we'll take a look at how Denton Mateychuk is just casually still leading the entire CHL in points as a defenseman. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But I want to kind of start off with the ex Blue Jackets because I am hearing a lot about one Gus Nyquist right now, who I think is not necessarily the one that got away, but he was a guy that they traded last trade deadline. He was injured, and they traded him for like a 7th-round pick to, I want to say, the Minnesota Wild. He was healthy in time for their playoff run. He was a guy that I would have re-signed like that. I think he is the consummate veteran player. He was really, really underrated for the Blue Jackets for a long time. And he's being rewarded in the playoffs with Nashville. He's on a really nice deal, if I can remember rightly. I think he's on like $2.5 million or something. I'm just pulling the cap friendly page for the Predators up. He is on. Okay, he's on 3.1, almost 3.2 million for another 2 years, or for another year after this one. That's the perfect contract for him. Like I said, he is on that top line playing with Philip Forsberg, and I have no complaints. He's got 4 points in 5 games, is averaging almost 20 minutes a night of ice time, and he's one of those guys that you want to root for. You know, the Predators are kind of on the precipice of having their season ended by the Vancouver Canucks, which that's been a whole drama filled series, but you want nice things for Gus Nyquist. You just do. He was really the main guy that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to say, hey, I miss having Gus Nyquist around. I think he would have been a good player to have this season on a team that was, extremely young and extremely stumbling, and a lot of their veteran players missed significant chunks of time. I think Gus Nyquist will be a really good guy to have around this season, but he's doing good things in Nashville. Hopefully they can push it to a game 7. I believe they're down 3-2 at the minute against the Canucks, so we'll see how that goes. And just for the fun of it, I thought I would look up what Pierre-Luc Dubois is doing in LA. Because listen, I was a huge supporter of Pierre-Luc Dubois. I thought he was going to really flourish in the Kings system. I thought that they kind of fleeced Winnipeg a little bit. Winnipeg looks like they're doing just fine. Obviously, they got kind of embarrassed in the playoffs, but Gabe Velarde is looking like a real nice piece for them. Pierre-Luc Dubois has 1 point in 4 games in this playoff series for the Kings versus the Oilers. His face-offs are well under 50%. He's only averaging 14.5 minutes, and he is making a truly outrageous amount of money to do functionally nothing on the ice. And I don't understand, He's making $8.5 million. He's the third highest paid player on the team right now, behind only Andrzej Kopitar, who will be making less money than him next season, and Drew Doughty, who is making $11 million for the next 3 seasons after that. Wow. So Pierre-Luc Dubois, soon to be the second highest paid player on the Kings, and that feels like a contract that could age real bad. He had a good-ish start to the season and then really fell off and has done, like I said, has done functionally nothing in the playoffs. Not that like many of the Kings have done anything in the playoffs, unless their names are Quentin Byfield and Adrian Kempe. And of course, Andrzej Kopitar, who I always love. But I thought Blue Jackets fans, it sucks that we're not in the playoffs, but I thought we could all kind of get together to enjoy Pierre-Luc Dubois stumbling a little bit. And like I was rooting for him so hard, and he really just kind of fell on every single rake he could possibly fall on. Gotta suck for the Kings that they gave up all of that, and they gave up Sean Durzi for a second-round pick, because I believe that second-round pick was what they used to send to Winnipeg. They could have had Sean Durzi and Gabe Vilardi. They have Pierre-Luc Dubois, who maybe he'll have a bounce-back season next season. Who knows? But not a great season for him, not a great postseason for him. Again, the Kings are kind of on the brink of being eliminated by a Canadian team, which, come on, guys. Are we really about to let 2 Canadian teams into the second round of the playoffs in the Canucks and the Oilers? Like, I guess. At least the Jets are out. The Toronto Maple Leafs are probably going to be out unless Boston fluffs it again. But anyway, I just wanted to laugh at Pierre-Luc Dubois for a minute there. Sorry to him. In terms of guys that they gave up this season, and Vladislav Gavrikov is there, of course. He has not done a ton in terms of like creating offense for the team, but you don't expect him to. He's been fine for the Kings. In terms of guys that they gave up this year, I was very shocked to find that Jack Roslovic has 4 points in 4 games for the Rangers. This season, they swept the Capitals, which I think no one is surprised by. And he's kind of been up and down for the team, but he's currently tied for third on the team in scoring right now. Like I said, 2 goals, 2 assists. He's only averaging about 13 minutes of ice time, which I think makes that more impressive. And this is a guy that, after the trade, had 8 points in 19 games with the Rangers. So, like, he struggled. He's a streaky player. We all know this. Probably he will cool down in the next round. I believe the Rangers and the Hurricanes is what that's going to be. That should be fun for everyone who is not a Canes fan or a Rangers fan. But honestly, Jack Roslovic, so far, exceeding expectations in terms of what I was expecting from him anyway in these playoffs. And now we must turn to the Andrew Peeke conversation, because apparently he had his first game in the playoffs he was good. I looked at the game sheet and didn't see anything beyond he got into a scrum. He was on the ice for the only goal that the Maple Leafs scored. Not for any of the goals that the Bruins scored. He was consistently outchanced and outshot when he was on the ice. But he played 17 minutes and was a physical presence. So obviously that means that he was a hidden gem for them to find. And, I had someone on Twitter come to me and being like, how did the Blue Jackets not realize what they had in Andrew Peeke? And I was like, what do you mean what they had in Andrew Peeke? And he's a physical presence, a shutdown defenseman, under team control for 2 more years, that apparently was in need of coaching. He wasn't averaging 22 minutes a night for the past 2 seasons under Brad Larson. This is not some guy that just didn't get a chance in Columbus. He's not very good. And I hope he works out in Boston. I really do. He seems like a nice guy. I would love if he worked out in Boston. I would have rather had the cap space, the roster space for the defenseman, and the 3rd round pick, if I'm being brutally honest. He's out injured at the minute, I think, which is probably maybe slightly mean for him to be for me to be dunking on him like this. But he played 2 minutes. He played 2 games for Boston, averaged 13:47, which I assume means that he was injured midway through the 2nd game. Don't know when he'll be back, but this isn't. I am not expecting Andrew Peeke to suddenly turn into Bobby Orr or Nicholas Hjalmarsson is probably a better comparison, since people seem convinced that he is this weird shutdown deep phenom that the Blue Jackets just didn't know that they had until they traded him. But all in all, some good performances from ex-Blue Jackets in the playoffs. There's a handful of guys that I haven't mentioned, and I'm sure you'll tell me, oh, hey, you forgot about this guy, you forgot about this guy. These were just kind of the 4 immediate ones that I picked out, plus, honorable mention to Vladislav Gavrikov. Hopefully next year we don't have to talk about ex-Blue Jackets in the playoffs because we won't sell at the deadline. Hopefully the Blue Jackets will be in the playoffs. I'm not convinced that's going to happen, but it would be nice, In a minute, we are going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Monsters, who stumbled in Game 1 versus the Belleville Senators, and I want to talk about that controversial Senators goal that ended up being the game winner in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about Monopoly Go. I know, flag on the play, you already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. I can't stop talking about it. You can team up with your friends for timed tournaments. You have to work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. You can get unique stickers that you can trade to complete albums for big prizes. They've got cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, emojis for taunting your friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, it feels new and exciting every day. They've got constantly changing tournaments and challenges. They've got unique mini games like digging for treasure. They've got a robot pachinko machine. I like that one a lot. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. You can claw that many more dollars out of your friends' bank accounts. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now for free on the Google Play or the App Store. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets, or Locked On Cleveland Monsters, as we are for this portion of the of the episode. The Monsters lose their playoff opener 2-1 to the Belleville Senators. I have some thoughts about this game. My thoughts are that, yes, the officiating wasn't very good. I don't believe that Belleville goal went in. I don't know why they looked. I do know why they spent so long looking over it. Because here's the thing: is that it was called a good goal on the ice. That means they have to be 100% sure to overturn it. They need 100% evidence. And for whatever reason, either they didn't have the angle, they couldn't find. The camera wasn't in high enough quality. I saw the replays, none of them were like, man, that 100% didn't go in the net. So I get why the call was upheld. I would love to hear explanation from a ref or from the AHL directly, which we might or might not get. But frustrating, especially when that ended up being the game winner. I thought the officiating in terms of penalty calls was suspect. But I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that the Monsters lost because of the officiating, because they didn't. They lost because they could only score 1 goal on Matt Sogard, who has been fine but not great for the Senators in the postseason so far. Obviously, small sample size, only 4 games now. He was really, really good for the Senators tonight. Or last night, as at the time of you listening to this. He made 31 of 32 saves, Jack Reeves was good as well. He made 24 of 26 saves. He was about as good as he could have been. Arguably, he only allowed the 1 goal. The other goal that he allowed, that first goal, it was, I think, literally 2 seconds after the scoring sheet here says 3 seconds after the 5-on-3 ended. So they were essentially still playing a man down. So it was essentially a 5-on-3 goal that was technically 5-on-4. But it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the officiating. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Monsters were screwed over by the officials, because the officials didn't stop the Blue Jackets from scoring more than 1 goal. They did that to themselves. They looked extremely like a team that hasn't played in a week and a half. Belleville is a really annoying team to play against. They are fast and kind of pesky, and they've got talent in there. I still think that the Monsters come out in game 2 much better. I think that first game rust is real. I still think the Monsters can win this series, but yeah, they stumbled big time in game 1. I thought David Jiricek had an uncharacteristically poor game. I thought Jake Christensen had a decent game. I thought Nick Blankenberg had a good game. Jeffik Blansky, as always, great. My MVP for the game was Josh Dunn. Scored a goal, had 5 shots, which I believe was good enough to lead both. Yeah, good for leading. He had more shots than anyone else on the ice on either team. And he looked good out there, I thought. He's a guy that I think is equipped to playing against the Senators because he is not afraid to mix it up and be kind of a pain in the butt. I would love to see James Malatesta get into the lineup because I think he is built for this kind of playoff hockey as well. He was, I assume, healthy scratched for tonight, or last night again, but it is what it is. Monsters lost. I expect a much, much better performance. I thought the last 20 minutes, I thought they were good. I thought the first 40 minutes, they were kind of, again, looked extremely like a team that had just had a week and a half off and maybe weren't expecting the Senators to come out as tough as they did. So go ahead, go back to your hotel, adjust, sleep. They play again Friday night. So by the time Monday's episode rolls around, we'll have had 2 more Monsters games to discuss, which is just fun. Hopefully, at least one of them is a win. Otherwise, that's going to be a real bummer to start next week off with. That's kind of all I've got for the Monsters section. We'll take a quick break and then we'll talk about the CHL playoffs. So the OHL and the WHL still have Blue Jackets prospects in them, and one of them especially is doing quite well indeed. So we'll talk about Denton Mateychuk and his peers in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. It's winner-take-all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers are going to get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Literally, all you got to do, go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and pick the heaviest favorite you can possibly find. Whether that's the Oilers to score 3 goals tonight, whether that's Connor McDavid to have at least one shot on goal, whether that's the Maple Leafs to lose the game 6 against Boston. Like, pick the heaviest favorite you can possibly find, bet $5 on it, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Make every playoff shot count with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Also, the official partner of us, the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's go ahead and check in with the CHL. I believe I congratulated Oiva Keskinen already. His team won the League Championship. Tappara, he had, I believe, 9 points in the playoffs, which his 7 assists were a rookie record in the Liga, which you love to see that. He's going to be a really fun player to watch next season, I think. But we have to talk about what Denton Mateychuk is doing right now, because I did misspeak in the little opener where I said he had more points than anyone else in the entire CHL. He doesn't. He's second in scoring across the CHL. The only player to have more points than him is Justin Poirier, who plays for Baker Dakar in the QMJHL. He has 24 points, but he is also a forward, first of all, and has played 12 games to... Okay, no, he's played 1 game fewer than Mateychuk, so that's not a real excuse, but he is a forward, so like he should be outscoring Denton Mateychuk. There's nothing interesting in the QMJHL right now beyond like that one guy, but let's talk about Denton Mateychuk. 23 points in 13 games, 6 goals, 17 assists. I believe is like 2 points off the Moose Jaw playoff scoring record for most points in a playoff run. And he's looking real good. They're up 2-1 on the Saskatoon Blades right now. It looks like if these scores hold, if they win, and the Portland Winterhawks currently also up 2-1 in their series, that's going to be really fun. WHL final, the winner of that, of course, gets to go to the Memorial Cup, so we could see... I know everyone's really excited for Denton Mateychuk to come out and head to Cleveland, because looking at the top 4 for Cleveland, Jiricek, Svozil, Christensen, Blankenberg, like if you add Denton Mateychuk to that, like that's a really fun top 5. And then, you put literally whoever you want in that 6th spot, maybe Jacob Sporrell, who played a ton tonight. But Denton Mateychuk is looking like he's going to be on his way to the Memorial Cup. I'm going to knock on wood because my hockey powers can only be used for evil. And it's been a really fun season for him. He wore the C all season, and he has embodied it. He led the team in scoring, I believe, or he was second to Jagger Furcus, who is currently second to him in scoring. He's got 21 points in 12 games. Martin Rashavi, the other Blue Jackets prospect on this team, has 8 points in 12 games. Again, for a 7th round pick, I feel pretty good about that. But the story of the CHL playoffs for me has to be what Denton Mateychuk is doing, because it is just truly, truly bonkers in a way that, like, I don't even really know how to. I don't even know what to say about it, except for the fact that it is legitimately bonkers. Over in the OHL, the Blue Jackets still have 2 prospects alive in that. They're facing each other off. They're facing off against each other, which is a problem. The London Knights are up 2-1 on the Saginaw Spirit. The London Knights finally lost a game in the playoffs, which is impressive, if nothing else, that Saginaw managed to steal one, because they were, I believe, Saginaw won game 3. So the London Knights went 10-1 to start the playoffs. So it took them 11 games before they lost a game, which is pretty impressive. Max McHugh is currently tied for second in scoring on the team with 14 points in 12 games, 2 goals, 12 assists, tied with Easton Cohen. And second only to Kasper Halttunen, who is, I believe, a San Jose Sharks prospect. He's got 15 points in those 12 games. He is, again, a guy to watch if the Monsters manage to extend this playoff run, which it's very early to be talking about eliminations and whatnot. It's game 1. They've played 1 game. Depending on what the London Knights do, I could see Max McHugh signing his ATO and joining the Monsters for a little bit of playoff experience there. But I also kind of expect the London Knights to make the Memorial Cup. So again, I'm not like super holding my breath for McHugh to join the Monsters. He's going to be a good piece for them next season, though, I think. The other Blue Jackets prospect, Nolan Lalonde, has worked his way into the lineup for Saginaw after their starting goalie was injured. He is 4-5, has allowed 26 goals on 237 shots. Good for an 890 save percentage. Of teams that are still in it, that is the 5th best, I believe. And is just below Michael Simpson for the London Knights, who is the goalie he is facing here, who, again, 10-1 so far this postseason, 30 goals on 322 shots. So, again, I kind of expect the Knights to win that series. I expect them to face off against the Oshawa Generals, who just ended Luca Pinelli's season about a week and a half ago. So, again, it's going to be some Blue Jackets prospect-based revenge there, I hope. But for the most part, Blue Jackets prospect doing pretty well. I know that Andrew Strathman's season is over. In the USHL, the Youngstown Phantoms lost, and over in the BCHL, I should have pulled the standings up before looking at this because I forgot that the BCHL existed a little bit. But it is James Fisher of the Penticton Vs. They are currently, if I can pull up the playoff bracket instead of just the regular standings. Currently, so they are 8-1 in the playoffs so far. So it seems like it's going pretty okay, you know. Penticton is where are they? Penticton's won four of their last 5 games against Vernon. They are currently in a series against the Salmon Arm Silverbacks, which I believe is their conference final. If I'm getting that right. But in terms of what the one prospect that we care about here in the BCHL, in James Fisher, is, where is he? There he is. He's got 3 points in 8 games, which I'm fine with. Again, 7th round pick. The fact that he's getting ice time is great for me. He is he's doing okay. Would I like a little more scoring? Sure, but I'm not up in arms worried about it, you know? Hopefully he keeps on doing what he's doing. I believe he's committed to not University of North Dakota. I believe he's committed to BU next season, or potentially Northeastern. It's definitely one of the Boston schools, which I know that UND is not a Boston school, or a Massachusetts school technically. Please don't come for me, Boston people. Yeah, he's committed to Northeastern University next season, so that'll be really interesting. I think Northeastern is going to be a fun team to watch. And that's kind of all I've got for prospect stuff. Yeah, that's all I've got. I was like, do I just do a quick mental run through to see if I'm forgetting anyone or anything? And I'm not. So I think tomorrow what we'll do is we'll talk about, let's talk about Kromachenko tomorrow. What if we just go down the Blue Jackets by who scored the most points this season? So we've talked about Johnny Gaudreau. We've talked about Zach Werenski. I believe third place is Kromachenko on the team in scoring, which I'm just going to double check that I'm right there. Yes, Kromachenko. So we'll talk about him tomorrow. His sophomore season, how he did, what he can do better, what I thought, what I think I'm expecting from him next season, all that kind of stuff. And this has been Locked On Blue Jackets. I've been Jack Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. You can find the show on Instagram as well at LO_Blue Jackets. I've been very bad at posting there, but I'm going to get better, I promise. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every single day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms over on YouTube and on SiriusXM. Once again, we're going to talk all about Kromachenko tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that. Until then, make sure you stay locked on.